now move to the debate, and I call Wendy Alexander to be followed by Brian Adam.
Deputy Presiding Officer, can I also begin by paying tribute to my committee colleagues, all highly experienced parliamentarians in their own right, also to the clerks, to Spice and to our advisers. This was the first ever specialist committee dedicated to considering a bill. Of course, the spin had been that we would simply rubber stamp, that we wouldn't study the government's alternative, and that we would make few improvements. In short, that we would fail. But the committee's collective commitment was to a report that was strong on analysis, rigorous about the evidence, and short on rhetoric. Let me give just one highly topical example of the improvements the committee is recommending. Just this morning, the Treasury announced that it intends to claw back EYF monies. Yet our report, if enacted, would make such a step impossible. In future, Scotland would have its own bank account, including EYF monies. Let me make one other introductory point. It is a commonplace amongst commentators these days to note the partisanship of contemporary Scottish politics. But this initiative, from beginning to end, has been cross-party, consensual and cooperative between the participating parties. I agree with Robert Brown's recollection of the long Home Rule tradition, and many of us are proud to stand in it. And it is in that spirit that I recall for myself, it was more than 2 decades ago, as the Claim of Right was bringing forth the Scottish Constitutional Convention, that I learned from Donald Dewar that Scots prefer cross-party consensus when it comes to constitutional change. Donald's inclusiveness shaped the first Scotland Bill, and this second Scotland Bill has been inspired by the same principle, cross-party, working together to do the right thing by the nation. 14 years ago, that first Scotland Bill got the powers of this place right for the times. This second Scotland Bill can get our finances right for the future. Both bills set a framework, and both bills begin a journey. If enacted, this bill will deliver the most far-reaching transfer of financial powers from London since the creation of the Union. Let me highlight why I believe it deserves support. Firstly, the bill will lead to a real budget, because in future, all Scottish political parties will have to make decisions about raising money as well as spending it. No longer can Holyrood politicians of any persuasion indulge in a lazy London blame game. Secondly, the bill will expand the powers of the Parliament to invest in the nation's future. Such powers could help pay for the Forth Road Bridge, fund a major housing programme, or support far-reaching decarbonisation. They will ensure that in tough financial times we continue to invest for our future. And thirdly, this bill will allow our successors to make important choices. For example, on the future of Scottish universities, should not our successors have the right to consider a graduate tax? Or on the scourge of alcohol, should not our successors have the power to shape a proper pricing solution? Or when it comes to the climate change targets that we have set, should not our successors have the ability to create new financial incentives? Those who support this bill today put that power into this Parliament's hands. The bill is right for the times, right for the Parliament, and right for the people of Scotland. The committee's recommendations fundamentally strengthen the bill's commitment to consultation, to co-decision making and to future cooperation. That is good for Scotland and good for the United Kingdom. The report is not a take it or leave it ultimatum, but a menu for dialogue. Can I also pay tribute to the last UK government for embarking on this process in partnership with this Parliament, and also to the current UK government for living up to its Respect agenda. What is now long overdue is for the Scottish Government to come on board. I say to the SNP, in 1997 you were big enough to think again, and it's time to do so once more. This Parliament is, as Donald said, about shaping our future. Divided though we be on the destination, this bill serves Scotland better. It deserves support from all parts of this chamber. It is quite simply in the national interest. It is time to back the bill.